just had lunch, so here's hoping I don't have anything stuck in my teeth. Hello and welcome to my little bookish corner of the internet. My name's Harriet and I have just come back from a very exciting shopping trip to the charity shops because they are open in the UK now. And I did buy quite a few items of clothing, but I also bought a whole load of books. And I do have some books that I haven't shown on my channel yet that got gifted to me through my Bookstagram account, very kindly off my wish list. So thank you to the people that sent those. I've already sent you messages privately, but I really appreciate it. So maybe we should start with those ones. So I have got two books to show you. Both of these were on my wish list and they got bought for me, I think it was this month or maybe the end of last month. But I am excited to read both of these. One of them is very chunky. And that one is the Karamazov Brothers. But this was recommended to me by multiple different people and I've seen other booktubers talk about it as well. It's definitely going to be a big read and the writing is tiny. But this is the story of three brothers and basically their lives and hardships. I heard it's quite heartbreaking and also really heavy, but I am excited to start this one. So thank you for this one. That was the Wordsworth Classics edition. So is this one. So Jude the Obscure by Thomas Hardy. I've yet to read any Hardy. I have got Far From Mad and Crowd, which I didn't even realise was by the same author as this. But when I was looking up A Little Life, I heard people saying that this was kind of similar vibes. It was really hard hitting and it's a story of one person's life. And apparently it's super sad. So I wanted to give it a little go. It's a little bit smaller than A Little Life, so if I like this then I can read that one afterwards. Yes, I am really excited to start this one. So again, thank you to the person that sent me this. Okay, and now we get on to the second-hand books. So I did buy some yesterday and then I bought some today. I'll start with the ones that I bought yesterday. I've got two books to show you. These were from the same charity shop and they were marked as £1 each, but they were actually reduced a little bit. I think they were 75p each. So the first one is Everything I Never Told You, and I have heard a lot about the books that this author has written. I know Little Fires Everywhere is one that's super popular. And this seems to be following a Chinese-American family and what happens when one of their children, Lydia, is found dead in the local lake. So I think it's going to be a challenging but super interesting read. Maybe it'll have some mystery in there as to who's done it. But it says it is a gripping page turner and a sensitive family portrait about love, lies and race. So I'm very excited to have found this one. I've seen it on my Bookstagram quite a lot recently, so I'm excited to give this a go. And the next one, which I'm sure you will all seen by now, is Call Me By Your Name by Ackermann. And I haven't actually seen the movie of this, but I do love this cover. I'm not usually a big fan of movie covers on books, but this looks really cool. Now I've heard a lot of different and mixed reviews about this book. I've heard some people say that it's kind of disturbing. I've heard other people say that it is super poetic and really beautifully written. So I want to give it a go and form my own opinions rather than just going off of what everyone else has said. But I have wanted to read it for a little while now and I'm so glad I found it so cheap. Yeah, I think it'll be a really quick read. Okay, I've got a couple of non-fiction books to show you now, which I don't read a lot of, but I am trying so hard to get into. The first one was reduced to 50p. Honestly, I saw it from the side and thought I have to pick that up and see what it's about. And it's not something I would usually go for, but it sounded super interesting. So it's called Red Sky at Night and it's the Book of Lost Countryside Wisdom. And it's by Jane Struthers. I haven't heard of this author before, but it's a beautiful hardback edition. And basically, these are just like little tips and tricks of things that you can look after and do and just generally read about that don't include technology. So it's kind of like getting back to basics with nature. There's some really cool parts in here as well, like the superstitions bit here. That touches on things like fairy rings, bird superstitions, which way to hang a horseshoe. So there's kind of old wives' tales that we don't really learn about anymore, we don't really hear anymore. I just thought it sounded really cool, so I wanted to give it a go, and 50p, you can't go wrong. It does also have a lot about mushrooms in here and ones that you can eat that aren't poisonous and that are accessible within the UK. So I thought that would be really handy because it would be great to go foraging. And it also talks about plants, which ones are safe to pick up and which ones are easy to keep in the garden, how to look after them. So yeah, I will dip into this whenever because obviously it's not following a certain pattern, so I can just read it whenever I feel like it. We are drinking from an official Starbucks mug today, but it was £1 from the charity shop. I'm very happy with that. It's like a proper thick ceramic mug, so it doesn't feel too hot in your hands. Okay, the next non-fiction book is All That Remains, A Life in Death by Sue Black. And this is kind of like a memoir that touches on death. So the person that is writing this, kind of like an autobiography, is a professor of anatomy and forensic anthropology. So they are going to talk about the different things that they have seen in their life regarding death and how they kind of cope with that. So if you have watched a couple of my videos before, I may have mentioned that I am not very comfortable with the concept of death. It happens, but I just can't get comfortable with it, and it really scares me. So I thought this would be a good way to dip my toes in and maybe get more comfortable with it. And if not, it's just going to absolutely terrify me. But it does say on the back here that it's compassionate, surprisingly funny, and will make you think about death in a new light, which I definitely need. So I figured I would give this a go. I got this from the specific Oxfam bookstore in one of my local towns, and I'm so excited that they are open again. I love it in there. You can find every book you could ever think of. And I also just love the way that used books feel. It's like having little pieces of someone else, and you can just feel it and hold it and know that someone's loved it. So yeah, I'm excited to start this one. And then the last non-fiction I am super excited about, and it was so strange because I was just talking with my partner about the thing that this book is about, and that is Endurance. So this is the extraordinary true story of My Year in Space by Scott Kelly. So Scott Kelly went up and was the first person to spend 1 year in space on the space station, and this is basically how he coped with being up there for that long, and also the after effects of being up in space that long and then coming back down to Earth. But again, this is one of those 50p finds. I could not believe it. It has got some pictures in there with little facts. What I find super cool about this is that Scott was the one that went up for a year, but his brother Mark also went into space. So they are two astronaut brothers, which is just super cool. And it's got some absolutely stunning pictures in there of space and from the space station. Yeah, I just thought this would be a super cool read. I did actually start reading the prologue because I had to wait for the other bookshop to open. I thought they opened at 10, but they opened at 12, so I had to kill 2 hours. So I sat down and had a little read and a coffee, and it seems like it's going to be really good. It's actually written fantastically, really entertaining, so I'm excited to continue with this one. And then finally, this is an absolute gem, and I've been wanting to read it for a really long time because I heard someone say that it is very different to what you would expect it to be if you've never read it before. And that is this gorgeous illustrated edition of Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. So this has got maps in it. This was originally $24.99, but in dollars whenever it came out. And I got it for $2.99 from the Oxfam bookstore. I couldn't believe it. I felt so lucky when I found it because I have been wanting to read it for a really long time. But it's the complete and unabridged text, and it's got all these beautiful illustrations throughout. Oh, I just think it's so lovely. So it's got these smaller pictures, and then it's got the big 2-page spreads as well. And I just cannot wait to read this. And it's hardback and it's just stunning. I feel so lucky to have found this. But yeah, that is it for my little book haul. I didn't buy too many because I shouldn't really be buying books at the moment. My TBR is so long, I don't need any more, but I just can't help myself, especially when they're so cheap. Let me know down below if you have read any of these books before and what you thought about them, or if you're going to add any of them to your TBR. I hope you enjoyed watching the video today, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!